The 2025 Formula One season hasn't even officially begun, and already the paddock is buzzing with accusations of rule bending and technical trickery. McLaren finds itself once again at the centre of controversy, accused of reviving their notorious Mini-DRS system from last season. But this time, they're not alone. Ferrari appears to have adopted the same controversial design, setting the stage for what could become the first major scandal of the 2025 championship. With billions of dollars, corporate reputations, and racing legacies on the line, these accusations are far more than just paddock gossip. They could fundamentally alter the competitive landscape before a single championship point is awarded. The drama ignited during pre-season testing in Bahrain, when eagle-eyed analysts spotted unusual movements in the rear wings of both the Papaya and Red machines. As cars blazed down the straights at speeds exceeding 300 km per hour, their rear wings seemed to behave differently than those of their competitors, exhibiting a subtle but potentially game-changing flexing that immediately raised suspicions among rival teams. The desert kingdom of Bahrain might be known for its scorching temperatures, but the hottest thing in the paddock was the rapidly spreading rumours about these wing designs. This Mini-DRS concept first surfaced last season when McLaren was caught using a clever mechanism that increased the slot gap in their rear wing under high aerodynamic loads. The design essentially created a secondary drag reduction system that remained active even when the official DRS wasn't engaged. The genius of the system was in its simplicity. By allowing certain components to flex slightly under pressure, the wing would naturally open wider at high speeds, dramatically cutting drag and boosting straight-line performance. On long straights like those found in Monza, Baku or Spa-Francorchamps, this could translate to several kilometers per hour of extra speed, a massive advantage in a sport where overtaking opportunities are precious and fleeting. After competitor protests, the FIA forced McLaren to modify their design, seemingly putting an end to the controversy. But technical innovations in Formula One rarely stay buried for long. New onboard footage from testing reveals both McLaren and Ferrari appear to have found a workaround, with their rear wings exhibiting suspiciously similar behaviour to last year's controversial design. According to paddock insiders, the teams may have discovered a method to make the entire rear wing structure rotate slightly backward under load, achieving effectively the same performance gain while technically complying with the updated regulations. Looking at the videos we've seen, some of the rear wings out there appear to be quite flexible, commented one unnamed team principal who's clearly monitoring the situation closely. It's something we are keeping a very close eye on. The diplomatic language barely conceals what everyone in the paddock knows. They're talking about Ferrari and McLaren. In Formula One's high-stakes political environment, such carefully worded accusations often precede formal protests and heated technical disputes that can continue for weeks or even months. Technical analysis reveals a fascinating engineering solution that showcases the brilliance of F1 designers. While most teams feature a slight curvature leading to their rear wing, McLaren and Ferrari's wings appear almost perfectly flat from certain angles. This seemingly minor design difference could allow the slot gap to open more vertically rather than at an angle when under pressure, creating an unintended DRS effect without technically violating the letter of the regulations. By mounting the entire wing assembly in a way that permits slight backward rotation under extreme forces, both teams may have found a loophole in the FIA's reinforced rules. The engineering precision required to achieve this effect is astonishing. Materials must be strong enough to maintain structural integrity under massive aerodynamic loads, while flexible enough to deform in precisely controlled ways. The telemetry data from testing provides further evidence of this potential advantage. When comparing straight-line speed increases relative to downforce levels, both McLaren and Ferrari exhibited questionably efficient drag reduction at higher speeds compared to their competitors. While not conclusive proof, these performance patterns align perfectly with what would be expected from a Mini-DRS system that progressively reduces drag as speeds increase. Engineers from rival teams have already begun analysing the footage frame by frame, measuring pixel differences to estimate the exact degree of movement in these suspicious rear wings. Red Bull's technical director Pierre Wache didn't mince mince words about the situation. It is still going on. I think Ferrari and McLaren are doing the Mini-DRS stuff still. Coming from a team that has dominated the sport for years, partly through their own technical innovations, these accusations carry significant weight. Wache believes the issue will become unavoidable once racing begins in earnest at the Australian Grand Prix, adding ominously that it will be an issue. It is quite visible. The usually reserved technical director's willingness to speak so openly suggests Red Bull might be preparing to formally challenge these designs once the season begins. The timing couldn't be more intriguing for Red Bull, who appears less dominant than in previous seasons. Max Verstappen wrapped up testing with the second fastest time, just 0.021 seconds behind Mercedes' George Russell, but admitted there's still a bit of work to do before the season opener. After years of unchallenged dominance, the energy drinks team might finally be feeling genuine pressure from their rivals, making them particularly sensitive to any technical advantages their competitors might have discovered. The four-time world champion's body language during testing told its own story. Gone was the relaxed confidence of previous seasons, replaced with an intensity that suggests he knows 2025 might not be the procession fans have grown accustomed to seeing. Once the cars hit the track in Melbourne for the first race, however, everything changes. If teams formally protest Ferrari and McLaren's designs, the FIA will be forced to conduct thorough investigations. Could lead to mandated modifications, potential penalties, or even post-race disqualifications if the governing body determines the designs violate the technical regulations. Having already been through this process once, McLaren surely understands the risks of getting caught again, while Ferrari has a long history of navigating technical grey areas. Both teams employ some of the sport's most brilliant engineers, whose job is precisely to find these performance advantages while maintaining plausible deniability about their legality. The potential performance gain from these flexible wing designs shouldn't be underestimated. Aerodynamic simulation data suggests that even a small reduction in drag at high speeds can translate to significant lap time improvements, potentially up to 0.2 per lap on power-sensitive circuits like Monza or Spa. Over a race distance, that could mean a winning margin of over 10 seconds, or the difference between a podium finish and battling in the midfield. For teams fighting for championship points and multi-million-dollar prize money positions, this advantage could be worth risking the FIA's displeasure. Fan reaction to these technical controversies has been predictably divided along team loyalty lines. McLaren supporters point out that innovation has always been at the heart of Formula One, citing legendary designs like the Brabham fan car or the double diffuser that helped Brawn GP claim their unlikely championship. Ferrari fans, ever passionate about the Scuderia, argue that if their team has found a clever interpretation of the rules, they should be allowed to exploit it. Meanwhile, Red Bull's fan base sees hypocrisy in their rivals potentially using the same kind of technical grey areas that helped their team dominate in recent years. The stakes couldn't be higher for all parties involved. For McLaren, who showed tremendous progress last season and hopes to challenge for the championship in 2025, a forced wing redesign could derail their campaign before it even begins. Team principal Andrea Stella has been noticeably quiet about the accusations, neither confirming nor denying specifics, while maintaining that their car fully complies with all regulations. Ferrari, entering their second year under team principal Fred Vasseur and desperate to end their championship drought, can ill afford similar setbacks. Vasseur's reputation for meticulous attention to technical details suggests this design choice wasn't accidental, but a calculated risk to gain competitive advantage. Meanwhile, Red Bull faces the prospect of genuine competition for the first time in years, potentially explaining their eagerness to highlight their rivals' questionable designs. The financial implications of this controversy stretch far beyond the immediate competitive balance. Under Formula One's cost cap regulations, teams are limited in how much they can spend on development and manufacturing. If McLaren and Ferrari are forced to redesign their rear wings mid-season, that represents a significant unplanned expenditure that must be absorbed within their already stretched budgets. This could force difficult decisions about which other development paths to abandon to accommodate these emergency changes. In the era of strict financial regulations, technical controversies carry monetary penalties beyond any sporting sanctions. As the F1 circus prepares to head to Australia for the season opener, all eyes will be on the rear wings of McLaren and Ferrari machines, especially in speed trap data. If they consistently straight-line speed charts while displaying the suspicious wing behaviour, protests will inevitably follow. The 2025 season promises to deliver intense battles both on track and in the stewards' room, with this rear-wing controversy potentially setting the tone for the entire championship. The FIA's technical team, led by single-seater technical director Nicolas Tombazis, will be under intense scrutiny to ensure consistent application of the rules without unnecessarily disrupting the sporting spectacle. In a sport where the difference between victory and defeat is measured in thousandths of a second, teams will always explore every possible advantage within, and sometimes beyond, the boundaries of the regulations. The real question isn't whether McLaren and Ferrari have bent the rules, but whether they've bent them just enough to gain an advantage while avoiding penalties. And as the first lights go out in Melbourne, we'll begin to discover whether their technical gamble will pay off or become the first major scandal of what promises to be a fiercely contested Formula One season. With billions in sponsorship, manufacturer prestige and racing immortality on the line, this controversy represents everything that makes Formula One the most technologically sophisticated and politically complex motorsport on the planet. The stage is set for an explosive start to the F1 season, but the big questions remain. Will the FIA crack down before Melbourne, or will Ferrari and McLaren get away with it? Are they playing within the grey areas of the rules, or outright bending them? If this trick actually works, could we see a massive shake-up in the 2025 season? One thing's for sure, if Red Bull suddenly finds itself struggling for straight-line speed while Ferrari and McLaren dominate, expect tensions to explode. What do you think? Have Ferrari and McLaren found a clever loophole, or is this just another case of teams pushing the limits? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe for all the latest F1 drama.